Here we go. Quiet, please.
On speed. 46, take 4.
And action.
Action.
It's a story about 3 women, 2 white women, sisters, and a black slave living together during the American Civil War.
Their lives have sort of fallen apart and their parents are gone and they're trying to make life work on this farm. And of course they have a run-in with some Union soldiers on Sherman's March and things turn into a very dangerous action adventure.
It's about the changing dynamic in their relationships as the story progresses.
Louise is very stubborn and she really doesn't do anything to help. And it's interesting because you'd think that in a time like that, 16 years old seems more on the older side than the younger side, especially then. But she is the baby of the family and she sort of takes advantage of that. And her relationship with her sister is incredible because it's the only person she's ever really had. Her sister's like her mother. And with Mad, she's very sort of stubborn towards Mad until the end where she really starts to respect her. And she gains a lot of respect for both Augusta and Mad by the end of the film.
You know, Moses was a little baby in the Bible that went down the river and was lost. And I think that's a lot, you know, if you look at his name, that's where I kind of got the idea that he's a lost soul trying to find his place in this, you know, horrible kind of world that he's found himself in. And he just wants to go home. He just wants to find a loved one and care about her. But as with any kind of, you know, war dilemma, it twists and turns, and I think it's kind of made him a bit sick and twisted, even though he can't see that yet. Or maybe he feels it, but he just can't get out of the loop he's in.
Henry is a fellow bummer with Moses, who's effectively a scout for the Union Army. And he's kind of Moses' lost dog that has been twisted up by the war and has become so bad and evil in a way that he doesn't really know right from wrong anymore.
And the first day of shooting was Augusta riding in on her horse and she's on a mission to save her sister and get medicine for her, and she finds a dead body in the house instead. And it's the beginning of realizing that these girls are living in a time that's incredibly difficult, that's about surviving, and that the world around them has sort of deteriorated while they've been living on this farm. And it's the beginning of the suspense and adventure.
For Mad, I would say Louise is kind of her heartbreak.
Don't feel like home. I don't like her looking at me that way either.
She helped raise her since she was a baby, and she has, it's like a double-edged sword, because as children become teenagers, they're already difficult to deal with, but because she's a slave, it's additionally painful when she can't relate to her like she was able to. And Louise is finding that there is this hierarchy and there is this, you know, status thing. And so I feel Mad's dealing with that. With Augusta, that's ever changing. It's constantly in flux. She doesn't know if today she's a slave or today she's the caretaker, or it's just constantly changing. So she's trying to find where she fits with Augusta too.
Mad and Augusta definitely fill the parental role for Louise, mainly because they're the only people in her life. And something that I really love about how we've created that sort of dynamic is, as much as Louise thinks that she can sort of run the world and do everything on her own, you constantly see her, you know, sneaking a peek at what Augusta's doing or what Mad's doing. And even though you'll never see her admit it, she's constantly taking, you know, things from them. You know, they're the only people that she's ever had to look to. And at the end of the day, these 2 women are the reason that she's alive. And you get to see that at the end of the film, that she truly loves and respects them.
Well, these female characters are individuals first. It's not the stereotypical feminine roles.
But it's very rare. It's very rare to be a part of a movie where you come to work every day and as a girl, you know, they're putting dirt under your fingernails and spraying dirt in your hair and sweat, and there's no beauty makeup, and it has nothing to do with that. It's about these 3 young women finding the strength in themselves to get through a very difficult time, and I don't see that often in movies.
The really interesting thing is exploring the end of the Civil War with these characters who have had their lives completely turned around, turned over. The men and the women don't really know how to interact with each other in this film, and they've forgotten how. And so when they do meet, it's often catastrophic, or it's often fraught with real tension of, I think I know what I should do, but I can't do it. And it's been really, really exciting to explore.
Then my idea is you always just try to find something different. If the character is a one-dimensional bad guy, it's boring. If it's just a guy that just wants to rape and pillage, it doesn't interest me. But if it's a man that is, you know, he just needs companionship or love, then you can find a delicacy in it. It just happens the point of view of everybody else is going to look at him and go, what he's doing is wrong, what he's doing is evil. But you can't play that. It's more not fun for me, but it's more fun if I play a guy that just wants to connect with this, with the beautiful Brit or the beautiful Augusta. And it comes across creepy, but you don't. Then for me, it's just flirtatious, and that's interesting. I don't normally get to play roles like that, where you get to have a bit more fun with it.
There's a scene at the end in which Sam's character and I have this sort of showdown. You really don't know who's gonna die, who's gonna walk away. Are they both gonna die? Do they love each other? Do they hate each other? Are they gonna kill each other? And I remember when we played that scene. This has never happened to me before. We were playing the scene, and I was so moved by Sam's performance. I was so drawn in by what he was doing and how present and real he was that I forgot everything. I mean, I literally just all flew out of my head, and I had to call out for a line from Andra, the script supervisor.
Sorry, what's the line? Andra, what's the line? I'm sorry.
This is what you get.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Never in my life have I had to call out for a line, but it was because he was so in it that I just started to just watch him. I just wanted to know what he was going to do next. It was really beautiful.
When I first read the script, I just thought it was, it's a very simple tale of survival. Not just because of the male characters, mainly because of the women characters and what they're having to do to survive in these harsh times. And I've always found that an interesting topic. These three women, hold themselves with such dignity and grace under the most trying of circumstances. They do actually fight back, and they do, take command of themselves and take command of their property and each other. That is different. They're not helpless victims, and I like that. I think it's very empowering. I think, out of that you get women's roles are actually stronger than normally conveyed, and see if I can be a cog in that is what I wanted to do. So, it's different from other roles because you're not shouldering all the responsibility. You're actually the catalyst for kind of what goes down, and that kind of is a compelling kind of way of a character to play when it's someone that comes in and causes the havoc rather than has to defend the havoc. Yeah.
I remember when I read the script the first time, a friend of mine sent it to me and said, this is a story about three women, and they are all very strong, but they're all very strong in a deeply feminine way. And there's something really provocative about it. I think you're going to love it. And I remember starting to read it and thinking, it was like 3 a.m. And I was like, I'll read the first 15 pages and just see what this is. And I started it, and I was breathless to the end, and I finished it, and the moment I finished it, I went back to the beginning and read the script again. I've never done that with a story. I've never read it twice in one setting, and I really wanted to be a part of it. Well, working with Daniel has been, it's been extraordinary. I've never had an experience like this.
And then with Daniel as the director, Daniel has a clear vision of what he wants in his mind, obviously. And it's just trying to give him as much as I can give him in order for him to paint that canvas.
I saw Harry Brown and just thought he was an absolutely incredible director, and then I watched his short, The Tonto Woman, which was really, really just sort of perfect in a way.
He's really created the space for us to bring what it is that we feel we want to reveal about the character. He has a really good way of taking all of that together, and then he paints in the details.
I think he's a very gentle man. Film sets can not be sometimes gentle because you need to get the job done, but if what he brings to this set is he calms me, he calms everyone around him, and the set's kind of it is a quiet kind of film set, and that's different. That's nice.
Daniel had this way of taking every scene and pushing it even farther and making you feel safe while he was doing that. And I'm not sure how he did that, honestly. And I don't know how he found the stamina to, 3 young women on a set going through this intense journey that's so emotional. It's not like you can just turn it off, on cut. So a lot of times Daniel would be cut, And Muna and Haley and I would just be like sobbing, just crying, just like getting it all out. He was very patient with us and like knew how to create a safe space and knew how to like sort of delicately push us all as far as we could possibly go as actors. And that's an extraordinary talent. There aren't a lot of people who can guide an actor that way, I don't think.
He's someone I really, really respect and admire, and he's created a set where people feel free enough and safe enough to explore and do things wrong, and I think that's the best thing that a director can give you.